Coach Hansen, appreciate you joining us. First off, congratulations on sweeping the cross country titles over.
Thank you. Appreciate
over
it.
About a week or so back.
Yes, sir.
Kind of walk us through that a little bit. First, I guess, by the women's team and their performance, kind of what your expectations going in and how you saw them perform, and then we'll get to the men's side as well.
Yeah, well, you can tell by the final score that it was close, 36-39, and it came down to the very end. Corpus got off to a really fast start, and they got pretty far ahead of us, and our girls stayed poised and resilient, and we just kind of reeled them in. But score checks at 3K, at 4K, at 5K, we were behind by about 20 points and then 15 points, and I think at 5K we were still down by about 6 points, but thankfully it's a 6-kilometer race, 3.75 miles. And over the last about 3 minutes, we were able to really close out and take the lead and take the win.
And then on the men's side, going into it, obviously it was almost from the firing of the gun. It was a pretty dominant showing from the guys. What did you see out of them? Obviously, there were some guys there that you expected to finish where they did, but then also some youngsters obviously had a big effort for you.
Yeah, we had some guys definitely step up. The youngsters going 1, 2, 3 was amazing, and those guys are all seasoned veterans, and they kind of took care of business. That's the way they've been training all season. So I don't want to say that was the expectation, but we knew that they were capable of it, and they went out and executed and did a really fine job. But then, like you said, some of the youngsters with sophomore and Ryan Binskin finishing 6th was a really cool run. And he's been training towards that for a long time. So, again, it wasn't a shock. But then to finally go out there and do it and execute it, it was just really cool to see him perform well. And then Sam Gola is a redshirt freshman, and he won Freshman of the Year in the league this year. And that was just a really cool feat for him, because going into it, if you kind of look at the results from all of the other meets, we kind of estimated that he was maybe somewhere around 15th to 18th best guy in the race, and then he finished 8th and was Freshman of the Year. And then Lathan was the second team all-conference too, and he was the best true freshman in the meet, and so he did a really nice job stepping up and being our 5th guy, and that's a really big spot for a true freshman 18-year-old to go out there and run as well as he did. So really proud of, honestly, all of them. They did a really nice job.
And Coach, you have a week kind of in between finishing up, hoisting that conference hardware. You have a week, and then you get prepared for regionals. What does that week look like from a training aspect? How do you guys approach that? Would you rather, hey, we run conference this week and then we run regionals the next, or do you feel like you benefit greatly from that week off?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's honestly a challenging week because you're nervous. You're on pins and needles, a little bit of okay, we got to keep everybody healthy, but we also got to make sure that we maximize our rest. At the same time, we don't want to get flat and do nothing, because you can get very stale if you're not training at a high intensity consistently. So it's balancing a lot of different things, keeping everybody's mind in the game and focus, which really isn't a very difficult thing to do, but there's outside distractions and things going on, and of course part of student athlete, and so just all the things that we have to balance. So ultimately it's a good thing, because you want that rest. They ran hard at the conference championship, and to go back out the next week at regionals would have been a tall task to just turn around and do it again. But at the same time, as a coach, you're kind of nervous because there's just a lot of variables between the gun at SLC and then the gun at the regional meet, and so anything can happen during that time. So we're glad to be in this week and glad to know that we're going to be leaving on Thursday, just a couple of days away. I think we're through it now, and we're really locked and focused and ready to go for Fayetteville.
And before we preview, obviously, the regional meet in Northwest Arkansas, obviously the USTF-CCCA, let me make sure I get that extra C.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Has the ratings format. And when you look at your men's team, it's a top 25 rating among anybody in the country. Talk a little bit about, I guess, maybe what got you guys to this point. I think you mentioned in a previous presser kind of that brick-by-brick mentality of just continuing to build, and then obviously anybody scrolling through there, they look, and there's SFA right there in the top 25.
It's cool to see our name up that far, but it's just not the name up far. They earned it. They work hard consistently all the time, from what we were 3 years ago to the recruiting that's taken place and the buy-in that's occurred. It's just everything. It's every mile that they've run and every interval that they've run and every time that they go to bed early and that they, decide not to do something and stay out late, but instead eat a good meal and get some sleep. And these guys have bought into each other, because it's not just one guy doing that. They all make that decision together. And same on the ladies' side. The ladies are a little bit younger, and they're still top 50 rated by a couple of different metrics, and they're starting to learn those same things, of just kind of making right choices and sacrificing and knowing like, hey, we only get this opportunity for so many times and so many opportunities, so many years, and it doesn't come around very often. So it's just a really blessed and fortunate position that we're in, and it's a credit to their buy-in.
And Coach, looking ahead, obviously the regional meet coming up on Friday. Kind of a similar situation, having ran at the SLC preview meet earlier in the season and then going to the conference championships on the same course. You obviously competed at the Chili Pepper, which is a renowned event. A lot of top quality teams always at that meet. Talk a little about just your expectations for both teams, kind of the field you'll face, and also how important it is to have seen that course earlier in the year. Going back to Fayetteville. Yeah,
so the South Central region has definitely gotten better over the last 2, 3, and 5 years, and so the competition level at the regional meet is as tough as it's ever been. And on the ladies' side, we're ranked 7th right now, which is right around the highest that we've ever been ranked as a program. I think maybe a few years before I was here, we had a 6th or a 5th place ranking at one point, but going into the regional meet and consistently throughout the year, this has been as strong or stronger than we've ever been. To get to the national meet, you got to be top 2 in the region to get an automatic berth, and then there's some at-large things, and I won't go into that whole process. It's kind of convoluted, but the ladies are going to have to really be on their A game to get into the top 2. It is a big advantage though that we were already out there in Fayetteville and that we got to see that course, because it's a challenging course. There's a big hill right at the beginning, about 800 meters in, and just to if you've already seen it and you've already done it in competition, it's less daunting the second time around, there's no doubt. And there's some turns and some sharp turns and some ins and outs. And so, we definitely feel like we have an advantage having gone to the Chili Pepper meet. And so I'm excited that should play in our favor when we get up there at the end of the week.
Awesome. Coach, we appreciate you joining us. Best of luck on Friday.
Thank you.
In Fayetteville, and we'll talk to you soon.
No doubt. Axum.